Welcome to episode 4 of our book club, where we talk about Dr. Feldenkrais' book Awareness Through Movement, chapter What is Good Posture. Quick recap, he contested the idea of straightness, verticality as well. He challenges aesthetic point of view on posture, that there's something much more than that. Then the very important part of dealing with gravity, posture as a way of managing gravity, and a special role of our skeleton to support, to cancel gravity. In the last episode, we read about muscles, that there are some anti-gravity muscles that are contracted all the time, and that we don't know about them, that we don't sense them, that we're not aware of them, of their workings. We also learned that the control of the posture is in the lower parts of the nervous system, and therefore beyond our cognition or our awareness. So let's read paragraph 9. The link between instinct and intention. Good posture, then, should be the privilege of every person born without gross defects. Further, as the organization of this posture is carried out by a system that works automatically, independently of the individual's volition, all humans should stand upright in the same way, just as one cat stands like every other cat, and every sparrow flies in exactly the same way. But reality is usually both simpler and more complex than it appears at first sight. We like to think that instinct is something totally different from knowledge and understanding. We believe that the bee and the spider and the other engineers of the animal kingdom perform by instinct and automatically, without any need to learn, the things that we do with the aid of our brain, consciousness, and will, and only after much elaborate study. This is only partly correct. Even instinct does not operate altogether automatically, and the things that we do deliberately are not totally divorced from instinct. So Dr. Feldenkrais here, my understanding is talking about instincts or reflexive responses, reflexive actions. Reflexes like when the doctor taps your kneecap and the knee kicks, or other reflexes that we have that we don't really need to learn, but they're there, part of the nervous system. Now, in the last readings, we've learned that Dr. Feldenkrais recognized that the posture is controlled by the lower parts, the deeper and older parts of the nervous system. And he doesn't specify in this book, and I'm not so sure what the knowledge in 1970, early 1970s was, but for sure we know much more now. And that is true, that our posture is controlled by lower centers in our brain, in particular brainstem and cerebellum. And the brainstem sends impulses to the spinal cord, to those tissues called central pattern generators that evoke repetitive, automatic responses without our thinking and without our volition. But we also know that cognitive processes at the top of the cortex, the neural cortex, the cortex of the brain, those actions are volitional. We're influencing them, our will influences them, and they too send signals into the brainstem. So therefore, both brainstem is being impacted by cerebellum, lower parts of the nervous system, but also the cognitive parts, in particular the temporal parietal parts of the somatomotor cortex. The example of when we use the upper brain, the cognitive brain, is the situations where we pay attention to. Let's say you are in the new environment, or you're walking on the slippery road and you really have to pay attention to every step you make. These kind of movements are produced and controlled by those upper temporal parietal cortex, and they require higher brain functions. This is exactly where this whole idea of self-image or body schema is, that homunculus on the side of the brain where you have different parts of the body, you have a different amount of real estate in those places. So our body schema or body image is actually lying there. And when you make movement with full awareness, when I, let's say, bring this cup toward my mouth and I'm really very deliberate about how I'm moving, I'm using my upper brain right now, as opposed to being absorbed in my work and just taking a sip when I don't even think and don't know how it happens. That will be controlled with the lower parts of the nervous system, the brainstem, CPGs, while if you study, pay attention how my thumb is squeezing the handle, which lip is upper lip or lower lip touching, all of these things require the higher brain activities. So therefore he recognized that, and he recognized that there is an interaction between the upper brain and lower brain, that nothing is truly only solely reflexive, instinctive, as he says, and also deliberate actions require reliance on these automatic centers. In general, we know that our posture and balance, in fact, are strongly governed by three systems. One is visual system, second is vestibular system, and the third is the somatosensory system, with our proprioceptors, with our sensors of the body, how we sense ourselves in space in relation to environment. So these three systems are governing our posture and balance. And the governance is in terms of orientation, our orientation in space, our orientation in our environment, and also the control of the muscle tone, control of movements. If you're interested in these topics of the motor control in terms of changing and improving posture, integrating the upper nervous system and the lower nervous system, I strongly encourage you to check the new course that begins on May 13, 2024, called Better Posture. 30 Days to Better Health, Balance and Confidence. I hope to see you there.